Be very selective with where you're putting money in this market. I mean, extremely selective, guys. This is not a time when you just throw money on anything. You need to be throwing money at the best of best opportunities over this next 3 to 5 years. These sorts of stocks that can weather a real recession, I'm talking unemployment 7, 8, 9%, that type of recession. The companies that can get through, that have the balance sheets to get through to the other side, that could even stay profitable in some sort of recessionary scenario, right? And best case scenario is it never comes. And this massively inverted yield curve, it just becomes nothing. And, all the telltale signs of that we're going to end up in a big recession in 2024. Let's say it never happens. Great. Sweet. This time was different. We could say this time was different and it happened, right? And the Fed lowers rates and, oh my gosh, we have a no landing or soft landing and it's beautiful. And we'll be able to always say that time was different than all the other times. But it might not be different. And so that's why you got to be extremely selective right now and really, really consider some hedging. Either cash or a little bit heavier, or consider a scenario where you're buying puts or some calls and some inverse ETFs, okay? Foot Locker, FL, okay? About 145 shares here today, paid $25 and some change for those. That was a little less than a $4,000 move there, right? In terms of Foot Locker, pretty easy buy for me. Obviously, they're restructuring some of the business right now. It's a 6% plus dividend yield on this baby, which is absolutely massive. I mean, just an insane dividend yield on this one. Mary Dillon leads the company, obviously. Now at this point in time, right, she just took over the company a few quarters ago. She came over from CEO of Ulta Beauty, and prior to that, she has a lot of great experience. So with her restructuring there, I think this one's going to be looking very, very good. I get to collect massive dividend money, and I think I'm going to get very nice share appreciation over the next few years as Mary Dillon works her magic in Foot Locker. So yeah, very, very excited about Foot Locker and the trajectory that business will be on over the next several years, okay? And balance sheet, pretty good position when it comes to Foot Locker, okay? Next stock up here, it's Texas Roadhouse. This was probably the smallest buy for me. I bought about $2,500 worth. Bought 23 shares of Texas Roadhouse here today, the restaurant chain. If you don't know Texas Roadhouse, you're missing out in life. That's all I'm going to say to you, okay? So in terms of Texas Roadhouse, they report their most recent quarter. This was probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago now at this point in time. Revenues were up over 14%. Income from operations was up over 11%. Net income was up about 13.6%. And diluted EPS was up 14.7% year over year for Texas Roadhouse. Extraordinary numbers, right? One of the great things about Texas Roadhouse, this is one of those stocks I just like, please go down, please go down, please go down, because I'm just like, I just want to buy. This is one of those stocks I would love to buy as many shares as I possibly can get my hands on. There's no debt on this balance sheet. A restaurant chain with no debt. How about that? How about that? Okay, a restaurant chain with no debt. How beautiful is that? I mean, seriously. Like, how beautiful is it to know that it don't matter if there was a recession, doesn't matter what's going on. The company has no debt on the balance sheet. They're in a great position, great cash balance. They usually always, pretty much have $100 million plus of cash sitting around with no debt. Like, it's almost unheard of, man. Absolutely insane. So this is just an easy, I hope it goes down because I would love to just buy as many shares as possible of this stock, right? Dividend yield on this one, a little less than 2%. The only negative you could really say about Texas Roadhouse, the only negative is valuation. It trades a little rich, especially if you compare it against another stock that I love, which is like Cheesecake Factory or a few other restaurant chains. But when it comes to Texas Roadhouse, the thing that's beautiful about Texas Roadhouse is because they're so attractively priced, you can, almost everything at Texas Roadhouse is less than $20, and you get sides and everything with that, right? And many of their meals are less than $15. Because it's so affordable for being a restaurant chain, right? I mean, it just seems like it does well in almost any economic environment. And not only that, they have no debt. So you're taking such little risk in this one. And so that's why it trades much richer than I think the average restaurant stock out there. We can put it that way, right? So I just love Texas Roadhouse. Phenomenal. That's somewhere that I always enjoyed going, in high school with my parents. We'd go there in middle school. And then, even nowadays, I still take my kids to Texas Roadhouse at least maybe once a month or so. Just a great restaurant operator. They run their business as good as anybody runs their business, okay? Cheesecake Factory. This was a big buy for me today. It wasn't the biggest buy, but it was a big buy. $7,400 worth, about 209 shares of Cheesecake Factory at $35.82 in regards to this one. Cake, sitting at a dividend yield of about 3%. The numbers are really, really good at a Cake. This for me is just another one of those easy buys. It doesn't have as good of a balance sheet as Texas Roadhouse, so that's the one knock on them. But it also trades very, very cheap. I mean, extremely cheap. If you look at the forward P of Cake versus Texas Roadhouse, I mean, we're talking about, almost half of what I'm paying for Cake versus Texas Roadhouse. So I own a company here with a higher debt load, obviously, than Texas Roadhouse, which has no debt, right? But I get a very, very profitable business with a very low forward P and a very good dividend yield. And I will say it's more diversified than Texas Roadhouse. You buy Texas Roadhouse stock, you're really only getting the Texas Roadhouse chain. Bubba's is something they're building out. Bubba's 33, but that's still early days when it comes to Bubba's. And so that's a long-term exciting opportunity over this next 10 years. But, if something was to happen to the Texas Roadhouse chain, some sort of bad publicity or something like that could certainly hurt them. But when it comes to Cheesecake Factory, it's not just Cheesecake Factory I'm getting North Italia, which is much further along as a number 2 for Cheesecake Factory versus what Texas Roadhouse has with Bubba's. And then I'm also getting simultaneously Flower Child, which is a pretty exciting long-term opportunity for the company. And I'm getting overall FRC, which is a restaurant concept where they'll build these different restaurants. And if you live in Arizona, you can go to a lot of these FRC concepts. When I was in Arizona earlier this year for quite some time, I went to a ton of these different concepts, almost every single one, and experienced them. And they're all really freaking good. They're all really, really good. And so they're just one of those companies that's going to be able to build out these other very successful restaurant chains over time. And so Cake, really love Cake. It's an easy buy for me. It is Nike. NKE Nike, okay? I bought 50 shares as a starter position here. $5,400. First time I ever owned Nike in my life. Man, just an easy stock for me to buy the dip on if it ever dips in the future. Certain stocks that I'm like, man, if it dips, am I going to, buy it? This is not one of those stocks. This is an easy buy the dip candidate if it ever happens, okay? It's not a big dividend yield. That's the one knock on Nike. It's only a 1% something yield in regards to this one, but it's just such an easy stock to own. It really is. I've worn Nike my whole life. It's just they put up their numbers. They do their thing. Phenomenal company. Best of breed. And then the big buy here today was Target. Target, bought 95 shares. That was a $12,500 move in regards to Target here today. Another easy buy for me. 3.3% dividend yield on this one. I can buy the dip on Target all day long. Doesn't matter. The stock goes down at 120, 110, 100. That's an easy buy the dip. I'm going to sleep well at night holding Target stock. No worries there, okay? I appreciate everybody joining me as always, folks. If you're looking to take your investing game up to a much higher level than where you're at currently, and you think this is something you want to take more serious, check out my private group. Apply for that. I'll have that as a pinned comment here today.